Hello, this is Dorothy Smith. I'm a close to my heart independent consultant, and today I'm going to do the whole thing of the Aurora card making workshop, which I normally don't do. I normally just kind of cut and then put it together. But I'm going to do all of the cutting and all of the die cutting. And so this is 4 designs of, 4 each of 4 designs. And you get some wonderful silver glitter gems. You get a piece of sage, a piece of sapphire, and a piece of glacier, 2 pieces of glacier, and 1 piece of white daisy. And then you get 2 pieces of the signature, well, it's not really the signature, but one of the pages of the Aurora packet, which is the constellations and the arrows. So there's the array of colors and papers. And you need peacock charcoal and glacier, and also the mint shimmer brush, which gotta love the mint shimmer brush. Gotta love all the shimmer brushes. I have all of them because I have to. And this is the stamp set and thin cuts that comes with the kit. So, and these are the cute globes that show both the Americas and Australia. So those for the Aussies down under, and also for New Zealand. So anyway, first thing I'm going to do is cut off the zip strips for both pages. And those will be used. Almost every bit of them will be used. So they're going to get cut to 4 inches each. And then the second strip is 1 that's 4 inches. So that covers 4 cards. And then the next piece is 1 3/4 inches cut 4 times. So that's going to be a little tag on one of the cards. And I like this zip strip. It's really a nice little design, nice little pattern. So I'm just going to go ahead, and there's not much of an up and down to the constellations. So the first thing I'm going to do is cut 3 3/4 inch strips. And then I'll cut 2 1 1/4 inch strips. So those will go the full length of the 12 inches. And one of the strips is going to be cut to 1/4 inch from my leftover piece, and those will get cut down to 5 inches for a card. So we'll need 4 5-inch 1/4 inch strips. So I like the constellation paper. I mean, the 1/4 inch strips are going to get cut to 4 inches. So easy enough, you get 3 out of them. And then the next 1 1/4, you take 1. And I went ahead and cut more, and that's why I have some extras at the end, but that's okay. So I turned the 3 3/4 inch wide paper on its side and cut them to 5 inches. So you get 2 out of each strip, and then you've got a little chunk left over. And same thing here. So that's going to be one card that's going to have a almost a full length, but not quite, covering of the constellations. So I'm just checking. I need actually 8 pieces of the 1 1/4 by 4 inches. So I go to the next piece of the constellation paper, And I'm just trying to make the most use out of all the scraps that are left. That way, when you have a bigger scrap that's left if you use up as much of the paper as you can. So a lot of these 1/4-inch strips. So this one I'm going to cut to 4.5 by 12. And that is going to be set to the side because that's going to be used for die cutting. And everything that's left over I'm putting in my original bag that it came in. So all of my scraps will go into the bag. That way at the end I'm not confused about, which is the right paper and which is the scraps, the cut paper. So the next cardstock to cut is Glacier, which, is one of my all-time favorite colors. I think it's beautiful. And I know we'll be coming out with some new colors, but boy, I would hate to lose Glacier because, like I said, it's been with us for a long time, but it sure is a beautiful color. But don't be surprised. So I cut 2 strips that are 4 inches wide by 12. And excuse me, and then 1 strip that's 1.5 inches wide, and then it gets cut down to 3 3/4 wide each. So 4 of those. And then I need 4 strips that are 1/4, and those will get cut to 5.5 inches. So 5.5 inches, that's the full length of the card. The card being 1 1/4 by 5.5. So there's those strips. And I'm kind of making I'll make little piles up towards the top so that I've got like all the pieces from card 1 and all the pieces from card 2 so that I can just I'm not putting them in bags this time because I'm going to go ahead and do them sequentially. So I've got 4 pieces that are 4 by 5 1/4. Now the scraps, for those I'm putting to the side, those are going to be stamped and hand cut. So then I've got a couple of strips that I'm cutting that are 4.5 by 12 and 2 1/4 by 12, and those are going to be put to the left side there for die cutting. And then my leftover piece is going in my original bag. And the next color is Sage. So I'm cutting 2-inch strips. So 2 2-inch strips, and they're going to be cut down to 4 1/4 each. More scraps. And then this piece is going to be 4.5 by 12 and 2 1/4 by 12. So some more scrap. And those go to the left, so they're going to be die cuts. Ah, this is beautiful paper, sapphire. So I'm cutting 1.5 inch strips. And then I'm going to cut a 1/2 inch strip. And then I'm going to cut a piece that's 2 1/4 by 12, and that will be for die cutting, and that big piece of sapphire is left over for scraps. So there's quite a bit of stuff that you could do with the scraps. So turn the sapphire cardstock and cut it at 5 1/2. So 4 pieces are cut at 5 1/2. And then the 1/2 inch piece, those are going to be little banner tags, and they're cut to 1 1/4 inches, and I need 4 of those. And then the final piece is the white cardstock. So I need 2 strips that are 3 3/4 inches, 3 3/4 again, and then the next piece is just going to be used for die cutting. And so these get turned and cut at 5 inches. So we have 4 pieces that are 5 inches. So the white is going to be used for all the little sentiments. Now this is just for fun because I saw one of the consultants use this silver foil paper, which I had some, for cutting the globe out. And I thought, okay, I really like the way that looks, so I'm going to do some of those just for the heck of it. But you certainly don't have to, but I'm just showing you what this looks like. Now remember that this is a pattern, and you don't have to use the Aurora paper. You can totally use any paper and cardstock that you have where you've got a coordinated colors. And you can use that paper and this pattern and make cards accordingly that would look completely different. And you could also use a different stamp for the sentiment. But you have a pattern here to go by. So I like this stamp set. It's the little sentiments that come with it are sending smiles across the miles, which is perfect for the globe. And you mean the world to me, and you color my world. So that just goes beautifully. So what I'm doing right now is sorting all of the pieces. I'm going through my cutting diagram. If I was smart, as I was cutting things, I would have made them in piles, but that's okay. It's not that big of a deal. So that's card 1, card 2, card 3, and card 4 up at the top there. Okay, so now we're going to go on as part of the cutting. We're going to go to do the die cuts. And I'm not going to lie, this is tedious because you can only cut really one of the, well, I mean, you could cut 2 or 3 things at a time, but if you need 8 globes and 8 backgrounds for the globe, then you have to cut 8 things. And the same thing for the sentiment banner. If you need 16, and well, in our case, we need 12 because we do one of the sentiments is stamped directly on the card. But you have to cut it 12 times, so that's all there is to it. So I set my, this is close to my heart, offers this particular die cutting machine, and I really love it because you can actually change the tension on it. So if you have an intricate die, then you can add a little bit more tension to it so you don't spend, you know, quite a bit of time poking all the little pieces out, like from a lace doily, or even this globe has a lot of teeny little pieces in it. But I set it to the die cut setting, and this has done, and I know I've said this before, it's done a spectacular job of cutting these pieces, these intricate dies. So now if you wanted to speed this up, you could measure these circles and cut them out with a CRICUT. And I don't know what I didn't measure them myself, but they're probably like 1.5 inches or so. But you could, totally set your CRICUT to cut X number of pieces on your CRICUT, and it would go faster than the die cuts. But the die for it needs to be exact with the globe. So that's why I'm doing it this way. So there's only, if you are concerned about your thin cut moving on the paper when you're, shuffling it around, you can use a piece of washi tape. I feel like I got my exercise. Sometimes I've seen ladies use the electric die cutters, and I thought, oh, that's kind of nice. But I don't know, with this coronavirus, I haven't been getting my exercise, so this is it, ladies. Okay, so when I cut this, I think that I was actually supposed to flip it around and cut it on the light side. Not that it makes much difference, but I think it was supposed to be cut on the light side. So you can flip, obviously you can flip the circles, but you can't really flip that globe. So that's okay. Now what I end up with is a whole lot of these little pieces that just absolutely, see how they're left? They either just fall off or they're left on the little cutting thing. So I didn't bring my spatula with me, so I'm using whatever tool I have at hand. Kind of like chimps do when they're looking for eating termites. They find the closest stick at hand. So here we go. We continue on. Full disclosure and transparency here. This cutting part took me an hour and 20 minutes, just so you know. My feet were really hurting because I'm standing up while I'm doing this. And I had on my little Croc sandals, but they weren't my comfortable ones. And ow, took a while for my toes to come alive again. But anyway, it did take an hour and 20 minutes to do this cutting. So I speeded these clips up at 200%. And clearly these die cuts probably should get speeded up more than that because boring. So maybe what I'll do is I'll play some music again because this just goes on. So I'll catch you at the end. Bye now. On the strip that I have here, I went ahead and stamped the clouds, small and big, the two-size clouds, in Peacock, and I'm using my Green Mint shimmer pen and just scribbling kind of over. The clouds don't have to be perfectly filled in because clouds are not totally homogeneous in color, so you want them to be a little spotty. And I decided that it was much easier to color all of them at one time and then cut them out rather than cut them out and then color them, obviously. So live and learn. So I just let them dry a little bit and came back and cut these out by hand. And I was wishing that they had a little die cut because I've gotten really spoiled with these thin cuts. And fussy cutting just doesn't mean that much to me anymore. They've really spoiled me with these thin cuts. And the CRICUT, I mean, come on. But, there's a lot to be said for doing the hand cutting. It is kind of relaxing unless you have a zillion clouds to cut out. So I am not doing it perfectly. I'm leaving a little edge around there. And so the shimmer brush adds a little color, and it just adds that sparkly little shine that the shimmer brushes do. Those things are wonderful. If you haven't gotten any, you really need to get some. And just so you know, this kit is only available until June 30th. So if you like this kit, you need to order it very quickly. We're coming to a close of the May-June catalog. The good news is we'll be getting a July-August catalog. And so this will not be available. The stitched, Stitched Together and Aurora will not be available, and all these things will go with it. So this is my cutting part. Putting together is going to be a separate video, and so I will be making video number 2 for the Aurora cards. So thanks for watching. Bye.